I'ma be the best, I'ma beat the rest, I'm the go-to roofer, the go-to roofer. I'm a hometown fool with a hometown crew, I'm a go-to roofer, the go-to roofer.
Hey everybody, it's Sam with the Go2 Roofer podcast, and this week we are going to be speaking to Sej Deribin from New Jersey with Capital Roofing Company. They are a growing company that's been around for over 100 years. Is that right, Sej? This is going to be a really good discussion because Sej is also the chair of the North Jersey chapter of Women in Roofing, kind of the other side of roofing where we don't see a lot of women in roofing or talk about that publicly as much as we probably should. So this will be a really good conversation. So Sej, why don't you just tell me a little bit about yourself and your background in Capital Roofing? How did you guys get started?
Absolutely. So I actually joined the company about 7 years ago. So this is my husband's family business. My father-in-law bought the business from a partner back in the early 80s. And the company itself has been around since 1920 and servicing like the Jersey City, Hoboken area, which is the Hudson County area of New Jersey, the Northeast area. And once my father-in-law purchased the company, so he was working up until actually 5 or 6 years ago. So he started the company in 1982, and then, they were doing a lot of work there. And then about 20 years ago, my husband, Eric, who's their son, got involved in the company as well. And then once he got involved, he really skyrocketed the company. He took it from 500,000 in sales to 5 million.
Wow.
So yeah, he's our sales guru. Like he is the sales guy for us.
Talk about 10X.
Yes, he did a great job. And so as the company was growing and, he took over more and more, about 7 years ago, like I mentioned, I got into the business and I started as a consultant to help the company because they needed help with a lot of their, customer experience and just overall process and procedures. And that's something I excel at. And so I thought, let me help you guys and let me be a consultant for you and kind of help you guys get there. And then long story short, I ended up coming on full time. And now both him and I basically run the company as both of my father-in-law and mother-in-law have retired. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool to retire the parents and all that stuff. That's cool.
Yeah.
What was that transition like for, like you said, you came in kind of as a consultant to help them grow a little bit, and you're the COO, is that correct?
Correct. Basically all the operations for the company. So it's everything outside of the actual labor, production, and sales. So everything else kind of goes through me. And, we're a small team right now. We're still about 6 people, but we have our crews that we work with, and we're scaling towards 7 million this year. So, we're really looking forward to that. And, the transition was really different for me because I came from a corporate background. I used to work in the corporate banking world. I was doing events and marketing for JP Morgan, Capital One Bank and whatnot. And so I was doing that for about 15 years.
Wow.
Prior to getting involved in roofing. And I actually left corporate banking because I was like, all right, this is just not working for me. I needed to kind of figure out what I wanted to do next. And so I started my own company, and that's when I started consulting for Capital Roofing. When I was doing that, it was prior to COVID, and I had a couple of clients that I was working on between, Capital Roofing and some others. And then once COVID hit, it was kind of like, all right, marketing and events kind of died down.
Yeah.
And so I focused more on the company, and my in-laws at that time decided, it was a good time for them to kind of retire. Yeah. And so the right move was just for me to join the company fully and engage. And I'm glad I did, because it was, in the beginning, the transition was rough. I'm not going to lie. I mean, you're going from corporate banking in New York City and Manhattan to like a roofing company that's in a garage, going from suits and heels to like leggings and sneakers. Definitely a huge change for me. But I think as time went on, it's been a journey, and it's been such a fun ride, especially doing this with like my husband, who's my best friend. So we have our ups and downs with the company, obviously, like any company, but it has been fun and it's been exciting. And we got so much more growth happening that's occurring now that we have for the future. So we're really excited to see where the company goes.
That's amazing. What were some of those like pivotal moments when you and your husband really went hard at this over the last 7 years? Like, what are some of those pivotal moments or realizations that you came to that helped you transform it from just, like you said, a mom and pop type of organization to up to 5 and 7 million now?
So I think a lot of that comes down to the customer experience. That was one of my major focus areas when I came into the company. Obviously, prior to that, I was working on some of the process and the procedures internally of how we did things, but that also meant that fixed a lot of stuff for our customer experience.
Yeah.
That was my major focus. I mean, I spent a lot of time, building the right CRM system, getting the right templates and documents in place, making sure our communications were right and professional. And that was one thing that we got a lot of feedback on, which was like, oh my God, this huge change in just having someone more professional, someone that knows how to speak properly to the terminology of the roofing world and explain the contracts, explain the proposals. So
yeah,
for me, it was more like, how do I take my skills that I learned from banking and put it into roofing? And so for me, when I was doing marketing, it was a lot of it was the same thing. It was about building that experience. And so for me, it was like, all right, how can I make this like the best experience for a roofing company? You don't really get that a lot. And so, and it's funny because I've gotten feedback from customers and clients of ours that said, since you've joined, it's been a game changer. Like it would be days before we get a call back or an email. And it was different before. Like my in-laws had some help, but they didn't really know what they were doing. They were kind of winging it as they were going along, and they didn't really know the right process and procedures. Like they didn't come from a corporate background to know all that stuff. And so for me, it was more like, all right, what am I going to do to make this better? And so we've excelled in our customer experience. Like it's gotten to such another level. It's been great. I absolutely love it now. I have a 24-hour rule. There's no way that the customer is going to not get a response within 24 hours. We make sure we follow through with everything. Just lots of follow-ups, lots of communication. I'm all about over communicating and not under communicating. So, that was a major change for us. And then technology, implementing the right technology. I think, prior to this, it was all on paper, literally everything, bookkeeping, contract,
the old file cabinet,
everything. We have boxes. It's insane. We have boxes from when they started in the 80s of all our customer files. Yeah. So for me, it was, okay, first thing I'm doing, we're getting to everything is going paperless. And so, we built out the CRM system. We built out everything online. So everything that we use is all systematic. It's all technology-based, and there's nothing that's really done on paper anymore, which was a huge change for us, especially when it came to our bookkeeping and our financials and contracts and things like that. So nothing's out of place. Everything's in order. So I think those two things really shifted us and got us to that next level.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I love that because customer experience is like everything. And coming from the marketing background, you realize that right away. And we're like, hey, this has to change first, because if our customers aren't having the best experience, then that's not going to turn into referrals. That's not going to turn to reviews. That's not going to turn to more business. So that's awesome. Yeah, we're huge on that. Like that's always been one of my biggest things. Like whether you are leading inside your company or you're leading your customers, delighting them and giving them the best experience for your team, it's going to make them do a better job, which just ends in a better, project overall. And for your customers, it ends in, them being a promoter and advocate for your brand and not just another customer out the door.
Absolutely. And that's super important. I think, you want your brand to be known, and, there's obviously tons of marketing that you can do, but if you're not personable and you don't have that right personality to take on these customers that we manage, like it won't work. Like you have to have that right, mindset to take that, make sure that you're kind of not coddling, but you're taking the customer and holding their hand through the journey.
Yeah. You're becoming the guide.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's awesome. That's awesome. So like you handle a lot of the marketing for the company, and I noticed that you do a lot of video and a lot of just, hey, getting in front of the camera and talking about a concept or talking about something that's going on or just walking down the street. I saw a few of those, and that's pretty neat. What's your approach to like social media marketing and the video? Do you think video's the way to go, or?
Video's 1000% the way to go. I mean, everyone, and even just based on our metrics and our numbers on social media, like our videos get way more views and hits than our regular posts do. For us, social media, it's funny, I actually started it almost like 10 years ago, and then we stopped because I wasn't really involved in the company. And then when I got back in, we actually just kicked it right back up about a year ago, only because I said, we need to get our brand out there now. You know, everyone knows us. We've been around for over 100 years. We got to get that face time with people. You know, they got to just know our brand. And so I actually hired a friend of mine that does a lot of the social media content creation for us. And she's been great. And she's got amazing experience, and not just in like roofing. She's got experience doing clothing, apparel, and like startups. And she used to work at VaynerMedia. Like, it's just, she's got like great experience. And I wanted someone different. I didn't want just a generic marketing company for a roofing industry. I wanted someone that had different eyes, different vision, you know, and I have a very different vision when it comes to things. Like, I haven't been in the industry long enough to know enough and be so embedded in it. So like, for me, it's like, all right, I'm not all about the trends either, but I want to make it look different and unique. I want to educate our customers. I don't want to just do video just to do video. Like, I want the customers to know, like, what are they getting into when they get involved with us? So that was a pretty big thing for me. And we're just starting. This is just the beginning. I mean, my husband and I, we're starting a podcast soon. So yeah, we're just in the beginning phases of social media, and I'm excited because we got so much more great content coming out.
That's awesome. Yeah, we've seen this year that like short videos drive everything. Just if you want interaction and new audiences, then shorts and reels are the way to go. And having that like some long form content on the back end helps retain them and build that trust once that initial touch has been made. I've seen that for my clients as well. It's like the more we invest in video and we put, explainer videos on different services and throughout the automation journey, in the emails and things like that, walking them through the next steps. Like it's so crazy to hear the salespeople go from, man, I used to be like just dragging these leads through the door, and now they already know who I am when I get to their door. And, they already trust me. They've already made the decision. I just have to show them that we can do what we said we do.
Yep, absolutely. And that's everything, right? It's become a game changer, which is great. And it helps a lot of brands like get their name out there. People know who they are. A lot of folks, like, I know I do it. So if I get an email, a new vendor, a new company, I'm always looking at, all right, let me look at their social media, right? So like I click on their Instagram profile, I look at it, see what they're doing, what they're involved in, and if they're good or not, right? Like I feel like that kind of sells it without selling it.
Right. That's cool. What about your background as a woman in roofing? We mentioned that you're the chair of the North New Jersey chapter. What does that look like? I know you're passionate about that.
I am. I've always been a huge advocate for women in any industry, to be honest. And even when I was in corporate banking, I was really big on pushing my team and pushing the women on my team to get to that next level and getting better at what they're doing and mentoring them and helping them. And it's funny, National Women in Roofing is the reason why I stayed in roofing.
Yeah.
Because when I did join the company 7 years ago, it was an experience for me. And I was alone in the office. It was just me and my husband at that time. All the guys were out in the field. So I was the only one in the office. And I'm like, this is very lonely. And I'm like, this can't be like it was. And it was quiet time because it was, right around COVID. Things were still slow to pick up. I was reading a lot of industry newsletters and emails that were coming out and just constantly reading. And I came across National Women in Roofing's logo on one of the bottom of some sponsored email. And I was like, what is this? I'm like, this looks pretty interesting. So I click on it and I'm like, oh my goodness, there's an entire network of women in roofing. And so I got really excited. And when I went to the first event, which was at a mozzarella making place, which was so much fun, I realized, I'm like, this is amazing. There are other women that are in this industry and that are trying to make that change and shift in this industry because, obviously it is male dominated, has been for a very long time and still kind of is. Yeah. And so for me, it's like, it's letting women know that they don't have to be in roofing to be in roofing, right? Like you don't need to be on a roof and installing a roof to be in the industry, right? There's plenty of roles. There's plenty of things for women to do in this industry that don't require you to do the manual labor. I mean, I haven't done any manual labor ever. Yeah. Have I gone on roofs? Yes, just because I'm interested and I love it. But for me, it's, it's letting them know it's like really taking your skills and transferring it into this industry. And you can make a huge impact because crazy enough, this industry is growing. Even though it's always been so big, it's just constantly changing. It's getting even bigger. now with, especially with social media, with marketing and all that stuff, like you're able to take your brand, your company, your brand, your personal brand, and take it to that next level and become like a subject matter expert in it.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, why wouldn't women want to get involved in this industry and make a mark and make our mark and say, we're here and we're here to stay. Like, we're not going anywhere. Like, you need more of us because we know how to do this stuff. We have our annual conference for the National Women in Roofing, and that happens once a year, and it's associated with the IRE conference. So it kind of piggybacks off of that. This past year in San Antonio, over 500 women.
Wow.
It was like, it kind of made you get all teary-eyed because you're like, wow, this is so impactful, and it's so amazing to see all these women come together. And there's no cattiness and there's none of that. It's true like camaraderie. Like, you're getting along, the women in my council alone, some of us are competitors technically, but we work together and we elevate each other, and we're still there for each other. We've actually passed leads back and forth. So I don't know, to me, it's like, it's been a game changer for this industry. And I think, and it's funny because not a lot of people know about National Women in Roofing, even though it is so big. There's still a lot of women out there that don't even know it exists. Yeah. And I think, especially for women in this industry, having that network is just, it makes a big difference being in this industry.
I mean, I'm sure, like, jumping in, like most roofing companies, like when they first, hire a secretary or a woman to work in the office, it's just like what you said. They're alone most of the day. It can be very lonely. It can be very boring, and you're trying to deal with all the technical stuff, and having that network of other people, just like yourself, that's got to be huge to keep you going and encourage. And I agree with you. I think every industry needs to have a woman's perspective in it. And the roofing industry, like you said, it's growing, it's changing. I see kind of this separation happening between companies that are like you and focused on the overall growth and I guess excellence of the company versus just trying to make a buck. And a lot of those companies that are opening up to that, like, they're bringing women on staff, they're training them in all different areas. I think having a woman give you input on marketing and on visual branding and stuff like that is just, that's invaluable, because there's a lot of men don't have that vision of creativity. They think in straight lines and numbers because they're working with roofs all the time.
Absolutely. And it's one thing also, even with the customer experience journey, right? Like, I feel like we have a different perspective on it. I love my husband to death, but like, his way of communicating sometimes versus mine is a completely different whirlwind of it. And so, we just know how to handle things a little bit differently. And I think, our perspective is very much needed in this industry because they can make changes.
Kind of smooth the edges off some of them rough guys out there.
Exactly.
That's awesome. And yeah, I like it's really interesting to see this influx of women into the roofing industry and into the home services industry as a whole. Like, women are great salespeople. Women are great at the marketing. They're great at putting together like highly detailed plans and things like that. For us men that aren't, systems and processes oriented, we get all, like, how many roofing companies out there just don't have a process for their bookkeeping and all that kind of stuff? Like, you'd think that's basic, but like, as men, most people don't think about it until it comes time for taxes, and then you're like, help me.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So, there's tons of areas for us to be involved in.
I love it. What would you recommend to women who are listening or watching this podcast as far as like getting involved with that community and that support line?
I would 100% say join National Women in Roofing. If you are in the roofing industry, get involved. There's local chapters literally everywhere across the states. We even have a virtual one if you're not local to an area that has a chapter, but we're always networking. There's always events going on. We have monthly events that bring us all together, which is great. And even for the women that are looking into getting into this industry, I would say do it. 1000% do it. There is a way for you to get involved, make a change, and make a big impact in this industry.
Sure.
So many opportunities.
That's awesome. That's good encouragement. A couple questions for you. You mentioned a lot about systems and processes and moving to a CRM. Now, I know a lot of roofers who are skeptical about the CRM. And why is just a website with an email lead not the best way to go? Why would you want a CRM in the first place?
Just for sheer organization alone. I mean, having a database full of all your contacts, all the jobs, the history, the billing, the automations alone are a game changer for me. I mean, like shifting it from one stage to another, and you get an automation, and it just keeps everything together for you. It is like our main hub of our business, the CRM system. I mean, it does everything from capturing the data, scheduling the jobs, scheduling material orders, like everything and anything you're able to do in the system. And it keeps it all in one place, which is way better than you writing a document, scanning a document, uploading into a folder, and then God knows where it goes after that.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Excel spreadsheets can only get you so far, and there's no automations. There's nothing that keeps everything in one place. So that way you're able to go into a job. Like, it's so easy for my guys when they're out in the field, they're at a job site, they're able to go back to the other previous job and look at everything else that was done, or get the history of what happened very easily, as opposed to being like, oh, I got to call Sage, let me find out what's going on. And it's like, no, don't call me. You have the system, use it. You have the mobile app, you have the desktop. There's, it's a game changer. That was like the first thing I did when I came on full time.
Yeah, that's our philosophy too. It's like, you've already got a website. Why don't you make it smarter and actually like organize those leads and organize those social channels and how they're coming in. And the text message, like, follow-ups are huge. How like the biggest complaint on Better Business Bureau is bad contractors, right? They ghost you, they take the money and run, they do all this kind of stuff. And the homeowners typically feel like they don't ever, get a direct follow-up, and they don't feel very valued. And so when you have a CRM and somebody fills out a form or reaches out through social media and they get an immediate response that just lets them know, hey, we've heard you, that stops them from going to that next person on the list. And that's so huge.
Absolutely. We were like, that was my big thing. I was like, 24-hour rule,
Yeah.
So
Speed
like,
lead.
Speed lead. So lead comes in, they already get an automated email that says, we'll be in touch with you within 24 hours. Thank you so much. And yada, yada, yada. But, and then either myself or somebody will call the customer the next day or next morning or whatever it is, or sometimes within the same 10 minutes, and get the information and get it going. We want to capture them before they move on to the next. That's the goal.
That's amazing. What's the, if you don't mind sharing, what CRM do you guys use?
So we're currently using Leap, which is formerly Job Progress. So we don't know how long we'll stick with it for right now, but it's been working so far so good.
That's great. You said you're at that 5 million mark. You're looking to hit 7 million today. What do you think those key pivot points will be to grow beyond that 7 million figure?
Well, I think for us, it's definitely a lot more marketing and business development, right? So I focus a lot on that. I do go meet with potential property management companies, new clients, new people that come. We do a lot of new construction work as well. So working with general contractors, builders, developers. So it's really focusing on that. And then also just getting our brand out there. I think, one of the things, there's so many roofing companies in this area. Like there's an influx of so many, it's kind of crazy, but it's just, how do I differentiate myself? And so for me, it's, making sure I have those touch points. It's making sure that the customers and the clients feel like they're appreciated. They understand, what we are about, who we are. They get to see a face to a name, and it's not just a phone call, not just an email. Like, I will go out of my way to come see you, bring you some goodies, we'll do all the fun stuff. So that way, who we are, and that we're real. We're not going anywhere. We've been around for over 100 years, and we're going to stick around for another 100 if we can.
So marketing actually does play a big role. It's not just all door knocking.
I am dead against door knocking. I'm sorry. That is so not my thing. I find door knocking people very annoying. I don't even answer my door when people come knock on my door, because I know who they are. Yeah. I like to look through my Ring camera. I'm like, nope, not answering that, because I know it's some door knocker coming from like next door or whatever. And that is not our thing. So for me, it's more like, you're going to know us because you're going to know us because we're subject matter experts in the roofing industry, not because, all right, we're just another roofing company. No, you will know who we are, because we're not going to just be the person that's just like, sure, we'll come out, we'll do the job and leave you hanging. No, we're going to come out, we're going to educate you, we're going to communicate with you, we're going to be in touch with you every step of the way. till we close out that job. And even then, we send gifts to our customers after we close jobs. So we've sent out a box with a little tote bag, an umbrella, a house magnet, and a little brochure about us. At the end of the year, we send every single of our customers for that year a box of cookies.
That's amazing.
That our friend, a good friend of mine, makes homemade, and they are the best cookies in the world. I can't tell you, we've gotten so many emails once the customers got their cookies saying that these were like the best ones ever. So it's like little things like that, like we want to differentiate ourselves. We don't want to be just another roofing company. Like, we want you to remember us. We want to be your go-tos. We want to be that first person you think of when something's wrong and there's water coming into your house.
Yeah, that is so much like our philosophy at the Go2 Roofer. I mean, that is in our name. Like, we want you to become the go-to roofer, and the way you do that is through building relationships. And the best way to build relationships is through marketing efforts. And so, yeah, you hit it right on the head. It's expanding to that next level. It's really just all about investing in the right areas and building those relationships, so that, like you said, people know you, and it doesn't have to rely on a specific lead gathering process.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. Get in their minds before they even have a need, and then they know you.
Absolutely. And it's constant touch points, right? For us, like we're always emailing the customers, checking in on them. Like, there's always lots and lots of follow-ups. Like, every year we reach out to all the new jobs we did to let them know, hey, you're up for maintenance. Like, or end of the year, they'll get cookies, or after their job, they'll get a box. Like, they're always getting some sort of touch point from us, whether it be our email campaign or, referral program, whatever it is. So they don't forget us. Let's put it that way.
What would your advice be to, maybe a roofer that isn't quite at the level you guys are at now, that's still in kind of the startup phase? Maybe it's just them and a crew, and they're really looking at the idea of automating and getting on social media and all that. What would be your recommendations? Just some tips for them. I
would say first step, get your systems in place, right? Without that foundation of having your system and processes in place, nothing will work. That was a huge change for us in Shift, which then excelled every other part of our company. Once you have that solid, then you're able to then focus on your marketing and focus on your selling and focus on the production and all the other pieces, the customer experience journey. But you need to have your SOPs or whatever systems that you need in place and literally locked and loaded. Like, no gearing off from it, not going this way or that direction or changing it all up. No, stick to the program, stick to the process, and everything else will fall into place.
That's amazing. SOPs. Like, I always, when I do my first initial consultations, when we're looking at working with a company, I always ask if they have a business plan, because so many business owners don't even have a written plan, or it was written like 10, 12 years ago and they've never looked at it since. And having that overall vision and goal and everything written out the way that you want it to grow as it scales. And then, like you said, SOPs, having a standard procedure for every action into that business per role. And then you're off and running, because that's a real business. If you don't have a system in place, you're not really running a business. You're just kind of running a hobby, because it can't be duplicated. It depends on you.
Absolutely. And that's a big thing. I would highly recommend that. And then, once you get your systems in place, it's like you're able to focus on all the other areas that you want to get better in. So whether that be marketing or social media, or, reaching out and figuring out what your customer base looks like, and having all that in place will help you with the rest of the journey that you're trying to, grow in.
Awesome. Do you have any other thoughts or recommendations you want to share with our audience?
No, I would say, the roofing industry is where it's at. I over 7 years, I never thought in my life I would say something like that, but it's been truly an exciting journey being here. I mean, going from corporate banking for 15 years, that was exciting. Don't get me wrong, but there's nothing like this sort of excitement with the ever-changing industry.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's great. There's none of that political nonsense. There's none of that corporate mumbo jumbo. It is straight, like, it's your business. You get to do what you want and you get to enjoy it. And so I would say, like, if you're thinking about getting into roofing, 1000% get into it. it's going somewhere for sure. And it's gonna be a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
love
fun.
that about the roofing industry. Like, there's a lot of chucking the trucks out there. There's a lot of people that get into it for the wrong reasons. But if you get into it for the right reasons and you really pursue personal development and personal growth in this industry, the opportunities are just phenomenal. I mean, it's one of the industries that you can actually make doctor money without ever going to school. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely. And
um,
it's true. And, you know, and that's why, like, even like you mentioned personal development, that's huge, right? Like, I mean, my
Yeah.
husband and I focus a lot on that. We've done, you know, we still do coaching with Andy Frisilla and Milet through the RTA Syndicate. I've done a coaching program with Dan Martell. So, you know, we read a lot of books. We're always reading a lot of books. So it's a lot of that too, the mindset, right? And you got to become obsessed with your brand. That's one thing I've realized. Like, if you're not obsessed with your brand and your company, like, you're not going to grow. You yourself, like, and you can't get the rest of the team either to get to that level. It's you yourself. Like, my husband and I are utterly obsessed with Capital Roofing. Like, I love it. Every day I wake up, I'm excited. I'm like excited to get to the next day to the office, do what I got to do, sell, bring new business in, whatever it is. But it's like, you know, you have to be obsessed with this. Otherwise it's not going to go anywhere.
yeah. And that obsession is very, it is contagious, you know. And people pick up on that, and it is just over time you just build that level of confidence that people just see you, they know your brand, they trust you. All right, Sej, well, thank you so much for being on our podcast and sharing some insights. How can people get a hold of Capital Roofing if they're in the New Jersey area and hey, they really align with your values, they want some cookies after a roof?
Absolutely. You can go check out our website. It is in transition. The website, our old one is up, but we're working on a new one, which we're really excited about. So you can go to capitalroofingco.com, and that's capital with an O. You can check us out there. We're on social media under the same name, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. And then you can always reach me. I'm pretty much everywhere. You Google my name, Sej Deribin.
All right. Thank you, Sej. I appreciate your
Yes,
time. And yeah, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this episode. If you want to connect with Sej in some way, their information is going to be below this video. And yeah, thanks for hanging out.
Up upon that rooftop, nail it down. Another bundle from the ground. Can you hear the sound of that brap, brap, brap? That's a rapper tap, tap. I'm a working hardy fool when I'm out with the crew. I'm a marketing master, not a hole in the plaster. I'm a go-to roofer, the go-to roofer. Cause I know the tricks to automate the wins. Better bring a subwoofer, I'm a go-to roofer. I'ma be the best, I'ma beat the rest. I'm the go-to roofer, the go-to roofer. I'm a hometown fool with a hometown crew. I'm a go-to roofer, the go-to roofer. Hammer to the steel early in the morning, giving curb appeal. It's a 5-star warrant. I get it done, even on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I don't stop until it's done. I'll be working while I'm young, running Facebook ads, making TikToks on the run. I'm the go-to roofer, the go-to roofer. I'm a go-to roofer, the go-to roofer, son. I'ma be the best, I'ma beat the rest. I'm the go-to roofer, the go-to roofer. I'm a hometown fool with a hometown crew. I'm a go-to roofer, the go-to roofer. Hail damage insurance, commercial repairs, residential on the roof. I'm the one who really cares. When I care, I come through. Ain't no messing around with my marketing on point. Got my whole hometown. I'm the best dang roofer. See, cause I know roofs. Got a guy named Sam who can show you the proof. Got a guy named Sam that can show you the proof.